Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. On this episode, we're talking with Erin from 756 Dark. It's a local organization that does a ruck march in the dark, and their whole premise is helping with child sex trafficking and abductions, and it's a great organization. So we talk a little bit about that. John and I kind of talk about our experiences in law enforcement with some of that stuff, and then we really get into some faith talk and how that kind of all wraps in with it. But I hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you like it, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, but hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks.
Well, welcome everybody. Jeez, that's really loud right there. I have too much caffeine, as we just discussed. Erin, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for having me. I'm so fired up right now.
Absolutely.
I gotta calm down.
You had too much caffeine
let's
as well.
go.
Austin, have you had too much caffeine?
No, but I'll be there after this.
I wish I had a coffee too. I should have brought one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't a Whoops coffee, and not an accident coffee, but there's a place just down the road from us that's called Whoops Bakery, and we get a lot of coffee from them. They went heavy on the heavy cream in here.
Oh, really?
It's
there. Oh, that does look like milk.
It's thick.
It's milk.
It's pretty thick.
Yeah.
That's good though.
Get it going.
Good fats.
So, how long have you been? We met. Well, I think we first met at was it Hepraxia?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Shout out to Symmetry Sauna.
Yes, absolutely. Oh yeah, they just changed the name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Symmetry.
Yep.
Was that just because of their song? They wanted to just keep everything branded with the same.
Just one name under
Okay,
it. Yeah.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it.
Yeah.
How often do you go there?
Too much. All the time.
Really?
Yeah. It's the best. Can I just first of all say thank you to the whole team at Symmetry for being the most epic group of people to bring community to that area, right down in that little pocket by Tubbs. They're the best people ever, so shout out to them.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Steve, Heather, Sam, Joe, all those peeps. Yep.
Man, it was so sad when the OG spot, when we had that really bad freeze and all the pipes burst, and man, that sucked.
So bad.
It's
You
so
know what's
bad.
crazy though is when that happened, my gut instinct was, I think God's kicking them off the branch into something bigger.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And that's what I usually see is these upendings are just new beginnings and open doors, right?
Yeah, well said.
Let's
agree
go.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree more.
And it's such an
Yeah.
epic spot now too. Like I think Western Red is where Michelle and I go in all the time. It's the one overlooking Lake Coeur d'Alene.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
nice.
And the community sauna is freaking badass. Man, and it's so hot. It's big. I don't know how many people you can get in there, but
At least 30. Yeah.
30? Yeah. And now they're doing a second one.
I know.
They got rid of they had an infrared in there. They got rid of it and they're building a new one.
I know.
Freaking
It's so
badass in
sick.
there.
I know.
Oh, the red light.
No, they still have the red light, but there's a infrared sauna
Oh, gotcha.
just behind the thermal, the red light. But now they're building a second communal sauna.
Gotcha.
It's so sick. It's the most beautiful. We're so lucky, dude. We're so blessed to have the whole community down there.
Mm-hmm. And
Just best people.
it is, yeah. And I love going out and just sitting in the morning time because we usually go at 6 a.m.
Yep.
But I'll sit out there right on that little that deck, and I'll just listen to the birds chirping and all
too.
that. And it's amazing.
When the sun comes up, it's
Yes.
7 a.m. and it's so quiet and peaceful. I know. I sit out there for an hour. Highly recommend to everybody go do that because it's life changing. Yeah, we're so lucky.
It really is. There's nothing better than starting the day off with the cold. Well, one, going to the gym, but sometimes you got to be careful because isn't it bad to go cold plunging after a workout?
Yeah, so I've been chatting it up with a lot of people, and yeah, the sauna, like post gym sauna is great, but you want to do the cold before the workout, not after, because it kind of negates the inflammation and the gains, and you want to, unless you have an injury, right? But if you're, you want that inflammation after a workout for a hot minute. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was doing it wrong. So yeah, I try and do cold before the workout and then sauna after. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was doing it wrong for the longest time.
Yeah, same. Absolutely.
But it just feels so good.
I know.
So super funny. I think the last time, or maybe the first time I met you was at Ben and Sarah's Christmas party.
Oh my gosh. No way.
Yeah.
You're there? There's so many people there. I don't even remember that's all.
we did the white elephant, or no, is that what was that one where you?
Yeah, I think it's white elephant.
Yeah, where you can like switch and straight.
Yeah.
And I got the cold plunge ticket, and she did too.
That's right.
Yeah, because Ben has a cold plunge in his basement. So
no way.
he one of the gifts was a pair of shorts and like a cold plunge.
That's pretty epic.
And I ended up getting that one.
Have you went yet?
Yeah, we did it that night.
Oh, they force
cool.
you to do it in
Yeah.
their own plunge in their basement,
Oh,
and you have to sit there and freeze for about 4 minutes.
Yeah,
5
it was like
minutes.
3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's
It was
freaking
a great
awesome.
gift. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice gift. But
Only the health freaks love that kind of stuff. We're
I
like,
know. I was like,
I'll take 10.
I'll take that. Yeah.
I do you do much winter cold plunges like out in the lake?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I go right. That's where I started was Sanders. Like you can, I love to set up a little camera and content when it snows on the lake doing cold plunges. Ridiculous. So that's usually where I started.
I love the community here. Like it's so health conscious here. It really is. And
Yeah.
it's a good group of people here that are just trying to be better all the time, I feel like.
Yeah, it's really over the last few years. I think it's like that sauna area right there is just a magnet for awesome people. I think we're all kind of coming together, is what I've noticed. Because I grew up in Spokane. This was just a little lake town when I was, back in the 80s when I was born, just totally dating myself here. But, and then I moved to California in my 30s, had a job offer, and there, like Coeur d'Alene was just another lake town. And then you leave and you're like, I've been living in a slice of heaven my entire life, and I just never knew it.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just like so grateful that we're here.
That's awesome.
And just all the health conscious companies like Upgrade Labs, CoPow, like all these people that are bringing all the health to this area. I'm just like so grateful.
That's cool.
Yep.
I wish I could say the same about our hometown area. Like that we left and we're like, oh man, it's a slice of heaven and need to go back. But
It used to be.
It used to be,
When
but
we're-
I just I don't know. It just doesn't have that same vibe. A lot of people,
What's your hometown?
Duluth, Minnesota area.
Oh yeah, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota, let's go. Dude, the nicest people are from Minnesota. I know a handful. They're all amazing people. All amazing
yeah.
people.
No, yeah. Great people there for sure. Nothing against it. It's just,
Yeah. The health conscious stuff isn't
I guess
super.
it's there. It's just like, I don't know.
It's just different.
It's just different. It's just
Yeah.
not the same vibe.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was one of those things like, maybe it's because we grew up there. Like it's obviously different for us, but like you grew up in this area and we're like, oh man, dang, I had it. And like I moved out here and was like, oh man, I missed out. I should have come out here way sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way sooner. Yeah, but you don't know. You don't know until you
Right.
know. Yeah.
I was sitting down with a client this morning, and they're looking at moving out here from Montana. But he's like, hey, can we go look at this property? I'm like, yeah. So I pull up the address, and he's like, I'm not paying attention. I'm taking notes and all that. I give him my phone. He's like, dude, 7 acres for I think it was $80,000. I'm like, whoa, hold up. I look at it. It was 2015.
Oh, yeah, that was,
I pulled up an expired listing on accident.
dude.
$80,000 up in Sandpoint.
Dang.
7 acres.
I was looking at expired listings recently, and it was depressing. It was really depressing.
Very depressing,
I was
yeah.
looking at like 2018, right?
Yeah.
2018,
Oh, yeah.
2019. There's some houses in Post Falls, beautiful, like 3,600 square foot houses, new builds for like under 400.
Oh my
And I was
gosh.
like, whoa, because that house right now is on the market for like 850.
Oh.
Shoot. Yep.
Shoot. Yeah.
Dang it.
We missed the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that reel. It's like I was born too late for, yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, too late to buy rentals, too old to do TikTok star or whatever.
Yeah.
We're just us millennials, man. We're just
We're just running
existing, bro.
amok.
So let's give us a rundown, because people are probably like, well, what are we gonna talk about today?
What are we here for?
Yeah. Tell us, who are you? What are you doing? And tell us about the freaking badass thing that you brought to Coeur d'Alene.
Thanks, guys. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it because I love to jam on podcasts. People are my jam, and I get so fired up about this topic, and it needs to be talked about more and more. So thank you for that. So yeah, I'll just drop my event, and then I'll rewind. But founder of 756 Dark, the Night Ruck, which I started 3 years ago, and we're actually just going to call it the Night Ruck from here on out. It's a little bit easier to remember, but it's basically one big hype event for 2 local organizations that are fighting sex trafficking in the U.S. and in our backyard and everywhere else. And we'll get into it, but I just, for me, I just felt called to do something more. When you go down the rabbit hole of of this whole like sex crimes in general. You can't unsee it. And I have 4 nephews that I'm obsessed with, would do anything for them. And when you start learning about what's happening, you can't unsee it. You can't, I couldn't turn away from it. This was 10 years ago. And I just wanted to do something more and had a vision. I feel like God like called me and I picked up the phone and was like, let's go. And so I just had this vision and brought it to life in 2024. And now we're 3 years in and it's such a rad event. So you guys have to show up now. You're committed fully.
We're in.
No showings that day. No, but yeah, it's the coolest event and it's so much more when you experience it. But you know, there's stuff on Instagram and stuff, you can check it out. But it is such a cool event, and it is all to raise awareness and donations for the innocent and helping captives, but in this really badass way. And the night ruck is you're walking together as a unit, as a community around McEuen Park, in the dark, in silence, to this badass playlist that will just light your soul on fire. And it closes with a candlelight prayer. And then you, before that, we hear from the innocent and helping captives, and they talk about what's happening, and it just lights a fire in your soul. And that was the whole intention. Is I want to do something more for these organizations that are in the trenches doing the work.
Yeah.
Because they don't have time to put on these events, but the events are my jam. And so I just had the vision. I just took a leap of faith, and so glad I did. Because I think, a lot of entrepreneurs, you kind of experience that fear of the what ifs. What if nobody shows up? And and I just said to myself, if I die tomorrow, do I want to die with this vision inside of my heart and my mind, or do I want to just go for it?
Yeah.
And when you hit your 40s, I feel like you're like, I'm already, your 40s fly by, and you're like, if I don't do something that I feel called to do, I'm never going to do it. So I just did it, and turned out to be the coolest event ever. And so I'm very grateful to have you guys have me here. But if you haven't looked up the Innocent and Helping Captives, the founders are incredible. Nate and Caleb, you guys have both had them on, and the most amazing people. Do you want me to tell you about the Innocent and Helping Captives?
Yeah,
Then I'll rewind.
wonderful.
Okay,
Yeah.
Please.
So we'll just jump right into it, and
Let's
then
do it.
I get so fired up. Okay, so the Innocent, founded by Nate Lewis, he's here in Idaho. Their whole mission is to get to the root cause of the problem. So they run undercover operations to go after pedophiles and predators that are online. So they're more on the root cause side, right? Like they're going after the problem. And then Helping Captives is sort of on the way out, right? So they're working with the women who have escaped, who have left, and need a way out. And so they provide the therapy, the stabilization services, a place to stay, everything that you could need, detox therapy, prayer, the way out, right? Because we need both. And I felt really called to do something more. There's just this pull that I was donating to organizations in the past, but just something was pulling me to do something more. And so here we are.
So is the Innocent, is that, so you said that they do like a lot of the investigations of the sex trafficking and stuff. Are they like a Leo group, or is it like a private group, or?
Yeah, so what they do is they work with law enforcement.
Okay.
So they train, they provide the tools and equipment and training all for free to go into law enforcement wherever they want it, whether it's in our backyard, across the country, to train law enforcement to run undercover operations.
Gotcha. Okay.
So then they do all of it, and then so they can go to pockets of places where they want that training. They'll fly out and train them, and then they just continue to do that work. Yeah.
A huge shout out to any of our law enforcement people listening to this that do ICAC or internet crimes against children. That is a special job that takes a very special person to do and to deal with that, and it is amazing. Yeah. I think it's severely underrated. I mean, I personally, when I was working, I never wanted that.
No, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Having
kids myself, and like I
don't want to see that.
I don't have the stomach for that. And so the men and women that step up to do ICAC, good on you. You're there for a reason, and just remember why you're there, because that stuff just goes, it doesn't get enough attention. for sure. And rightful. I mean, like, I get it. People, you know, it's a fine-edged sword where it's like people don't want to know what's going on. They kind of want to stay
Like
away from it or oblivious to what's happening out there. But, you know, on the other hand, it needs more awareness because, you know, and it's so frustrating, like, especially working in the job as an officer, like going to calls and seeing scenarios where it's just like you want to be able to just like rip those kids out of there
absolutely.
and be like, it's heartbreaking. And then the system it sucks. Like, the system sucks for help, especially, you know, when it comes to children. It's hard to get them out of homes. It's hard to put them where they need to be, and it's just heartbreaking at seeing that. And, you know, you're looking into these kids' eyes, and you can just tell they're they need help. They want out, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So, well, the awareness is huge.
Yeah, and I see that a lot, where it's like, I can't even think about my child, you know. I'm like, well, some of these kids got sold into it as kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that could have been you. Why are we letting, what are we doing? Get in the boat and row, guys. Like that, if that was you, would you want somebody to turn their head from you or turn their eyes? I was like, I cannot just like, oh, someone else will handle it. No, dude, what are we doing?
Right.
The government's going to do it. We have to do something about it.
Definitely.
I think that's such a lost thing, is protecting our children. It seems so lost now. Like, it doesn't seem like anybody cares about what's happening to our youth.
I feel like there's more people waking up.
Yeah.
I do believe that, because we can all see it too, like from just the Hollywood standpoint, the big music industry, you know, like look at what they're doing. And like, this is what kids are watching, right?
Yep.
It's like go ahead.
No. Right. Like, you're right on it. And it's right in front of our eyes.
It's right in front of our eyes. And once you see it, you like, now it's like, I can't never not see it.
Right.
It's disgusting. Yeah. It's evil.
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest hot button topic there is the files, right? The Epstein files, and like, it's literally right there, and we can see it. We can see it all, and no one has done a freaking thing about it.
Isn't that sad? Like, you see all this stuff that's happening, and you think there'd be a huge uprising, but here we are, just like, you know, it's like, damn, dude, like,
Dude, that's what they want, right? They want us desensitized for it.
Exactly,
Like,
desensitized is the word. Yep.
And I think, you know, with how big this problem is, I think people just think, oh, I could never do something. What could I do? You know, just little old me. I'm like, no, that's how we do it, is you come together and you start, like Nate and his team is doing things. Caleb and his team are doing things. They're actually doing it. And people see what they're doing. They want to be a part of it. And we have to come together. And if that tugs at your heart, because, you know, everyone has their passions, right? Some people want to work in other areas. There is something in me that is calling me forward. And when you feel that tug, like, you can't ignore it. And if somebody listening is feeling that tug, man, get involved. Just come to the event or reach out to those organizations. But we have to put it in our own hands, because I will not be the person that says, oh, they'll do it. I'm tired of that, man, you know?
Yeah.
For sure.
So I get fired up.
No, I love it. Thank you for the passion. What's the statistics every year? Because, I mean, you go to like stores and you see all these people, like, kids that are missing. Like, what's the statistics for children that do go missing every year? Let's just focus on the United States. Yeah.
Well, I will. It's funny you say that, because that's where, when I started 756 Dark, this was the statistic that woke me up, which is 756,000 kids go missing every year.
Wow.
And Nate's told me this too, and Caleb, they're like, hey, some of those kids do return home. It's not like all of them go missing, but a huge portion of them do get swept up in this industry, unfortunately. And so when I heard that, that's what woke me up. You know, the wool just rips.
Yeah.
And a lot of them get swept up in this industry. And so that's why I called it 756 Dark, because we're walking in the dark for those missing kids that have been gone missing, exploited, or sold, trafficking, women who are in the dark that don't have a way out. That's what it's for. And so, Nate and Caleb are really good with the stats. I mean, it's all over their website. If you want to get the eye opener, just go on their website or on their Instagram and just dive in. It's heart wrenching. And so, that's why I'm doing this, because people need to be aware. I think there's a lot of people that think, oh, it doesn't happen in our area, but it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
We have to, even in the most beautiful places, in the happiest, healthiest places, it's still happening. And I'm not going to turn away from it, you know. And because if that was your kid, I'm pretty sure all the parents would be rallying together right now to raise hell.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
That is wild to me. I'm curious, like, where do you think most of, like, how are they getting, they're essentially abducted, correct? Like, to get into sex trafficking?
Yeah.
How does that work usually? Like, I've seen movies and all that. Like, but like from your research and all that, what are you seeing as like the main?
Well, from what Nate and Caleb have told me, because I would defer to them because they're always the experts, right? I'm just the big hype girl that. But you know, so there's a few things. You know, it's not like what we see in the movies where it's like Taken, right, with Liam Neeson. You know, sometimes, yes, but what's happening is they're coming through social media. These predators there's no firewall to protect against kids, right? They're just, it's free playground, and so they come in through social media, and they start to lure the kids. They find the lost, broken, empty, parentless kids that are looking for safety, money, validation. You know. That's why it's so important to lock in with your kids. And Nate actually puts on events, you know, if you get on his email list, he has free events to talk about social media and parenting and how these predators are coming through. But they lure them in and then ask them to send pics, and it's over at that point. And then, you know, again, Nate's got the deep dive, but social media is one of the avenues. And then then there's a lot of kids who do go missing and run away, and they get swept up into it that way. And then a lot of them are sold at a young age, like since birth. Like, can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
Like their parents, like even, I mean, I follow North Idaho News. I follow a lot of other news channels that are legit news, not media, you know, typical media channels. But, you know, their mom's like, yeah, you can have sex with my daughter. She's, you know, 4 months old. It's $700 and got caught doing it, you know. And yeah, and this is what I want to say. I talked to Caleb's team, the Innocence team. I interviewed Brad, who goes and he does these arrests for pedophiles and things like that. And I'm like, dude, how do you function on a day-to-day basis if you have your own kids and you're seeing these men do this,
right,
and these women do this? How do you function? Because I hear about one thing, I put my nephew in that situation, I spiral for days, I bawl my eyes out, I can't sleep. I'm like, how do you function? And he said, you know, Erin, I don't see a human, I see a soul that has been taken over by darkness. I see some type of demonic takeover. And he said, we're fighting light and darkness, we're not just fighting a human, this is like a spiritual battle.
Sure.
And he said, when you see that, he's like, I have fire all day to handle this because I'm on God's team fighting darkness. It's different. Yeah. So he's like, I actually can do more when I'm locked in with God. I can do way more than I can without it. And so he's like, it's all just God fire, and you just go after it and you stay charged, you know. Yeah. He's like, but God has to be in the center, because once you realize that this whole sex crime industry is it's a spiritual war, everything makes sense, because someone with a soul would not do that to a child.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Well said.
So,
damn, I never look at it from that point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You know what? So I think, and a big one is Roblox, right? I think that was a huge one that came out. So Roblox is, if you don't know, is just kind of like a gaming platform that has like little mini games in it and like all sorts of different things. Like that's very entertaining for kids, right? Like it's just like I would maybe like Mario kind of style games and like just, but that's how they get in, is these chats in games and online and stuff like that. And like you said, they pick their targets, and that's how it happens. And I think, Sean Ryan did an episode recently.
I was just going to say that.
I can't remember who the guest was, but he talked about Roblox, and like it just blew my mind. And my son this is before I knew much about it. Like I saw it and I was like, oh, it's just like, you know, just little games or whatever. And we try to limit as much of that as we can, but you know, like we still want them to, you know, enjoy life. You know, when we on a rainy day or whatever, when we can't do something, and we're done playing cards or whatever, and they just want to chill. Like, cool, yeah. But found that out, and we're like, whoa, no way. And like, that was super eye-opening. It was just wild how they just groom in there.
Yep.
Groom them. And it's like, you know, it's over time, and they just like, you know, you've got these kids and they're so impersonable.
Yep.
And, you know, you've got this person talking to you that you think, you know, especially kids that come from broken homes and are, like you said, are just reaching out for anything, and they just swoop in on that and prey on them.
Did you, so I was blown away at some of the clips. I highly recommend everyone watch the Sean Ryan podcast on Roblox. But apparently when that podcast dropped, they lost like $5 billion, I think, in stock value or something like some major just hit. And they sent Sean Ryan a cease and desist letter saying, you got to like stop, you know, take your podcast down. They didn't want to do anything about the predators. They didn't want to do anything.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
were
that's
just concerned about their money and how many people were using their platform.
Yeah. That's how you know it's spiritual, because if I was the founder and I knew that this was happening inside there, I would do everything I could to, like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Send in a cease and desist letter for
Again,
it just,
they just
don't even get me started.
Right.
Man.
Like, there's just nobody cares about what's happening to these kids.
Yeah.
And and I think part of it too is our criminal justice system, right? Like, the punishment is not severe enough for child predators.
Yep.
I will die on that hill that I don't care if the trouble is they try to humanize it too much, right? Like, oh, they're just
Maps, that's what they call them now.
Minor attracted
people.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
Or my language, but
no, you're fine. Keep it going.
That is pure evil. That is just pure evil. Because how can you be okay with that? How can you even say that and be like, no, we're not going to call them predators or child predators or no. That's so messed up, and that's with our society is so infuriating. And then the criminal justice system, right? Like, and don't get me wrong, like, child predators do not get treated well in prison when they go there, because there are people in prison who are, you know, criminals, but, you know, have maybe a slight bit of moral compass, or like, they might rob things or, you know, do other things, but they care for children in that way. And, you know, I think motorcycle gangs are a big one too, that like
For sex trafficking?
No, that don't put up with that.
Oh.
But
they'll unleash the fury.
Yeah, but I have also heard too that they are involved in that as well. So at least in some kind of trafficking aspect. But I don't know. I just don't think there's enough. I just don't think the punishment is severe enough. You know, these people can come back out and try and reintegrate into society.
No.
And there's a wiring issue. They are not wired correctly.
Right. And I think it obviously childhood trauma is really big. I think there's pure evil, which you discussed. But do you think there's child trauma? Because there's a guy when we were cops in Wisconsin, I forget his name, but he was arrested. He's still in prison for sexually assaulting a child. But he himself is a victim. His father's in prison for doing it to him. It's a cycle. So there's a correlation. There's a cycle there. But yeah, there's just pure evil. And I would love to see public hangings. Dude, I'm serious. I would love to see public hangings.
You know what would deter you more? Knowing that you're going to get strung up in front of everybody.
Yep.
Like when the punishment fits the crime, people don't want to do the crime.
Well, you just took that child's life essentially.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
What would be equivalent? You know,
why
you destroyed them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and they take morality out of it, right? He's somebody's son, or he's somebody's husband, or somebody's father.
He was going to go to college.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, but that's somebody's kid.
Yeah.
He was innocent.
That person gave up all of that when they decided to do that. And again, I see it from the side, right, where like they were probably a victim, and this is all that they know, which that sucks, right? Like Because how many of these kids that go missing and are victim of this will become predators themselves later if they don't if they don't get help, right? It's the system is so broken, and I just think if there's help, bring back castration. I don't know, like
punishment should be way more extreme. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Hands down.
You should be in the. I mean, like. If it's not execution, it's you're never getting out. Like you
life in prison or something.
But then but then it's like, well, now, okay, well, how do we house all these people? Where's all this coming from? It's like, well, I don't know. If we stop sending money to foreign countries for foreign aid, maybe we could use some of that to build our infrastructure so these people can just stay in prison for the rest of their lives.
Yeah,
and
or just public hangings.
Or just do that. Or
can you guys? Oh, go ahead.
It's like, and then they go to prison and they get treated
way better than the county jail, bro.
Yeah, dude. Like they get freaking video games, cable TV, all this other stuff. No, dude. If you go to prison, you're in prison.
Yeah, dude.
Like, sorry, no TV, no cell. Like maybe you got a common room and there's a TV there, but that's it. Like you don't. Like it's just crazy.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
When you were both in law enforcement for how many years?
6.
5.
What was the hardest thing you saw besides
kids?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because I have a podcast brain too, and I like to ask questions. And I'm sure you guys don't get to talk a lot about what you've seen. And so I was just curious, like, your experience and just. And I'll go on that because I wanted to bring this up. I would do the most thorough reports for these types of cases. Like I would paint the most beautiful picture. Like when you read this report, like you don't have to look at my body cam. Like you can just read it and be like, wow. I'll give it a quick example of one that still lingers. It local. I'm not going to mention any names, locations, but it's local. And this was I was tag teaming with a social worker on a call, and she's like, "Hey, I need to meet you here at this location. I need to interview primarily the 13-year-old, but I need to interview all the children." So immediately meet with the father, and right away this guy, you can feel, you always know, you can feel the energy and the vibe, and right away I'm like, there's something not right with this dude. Very over friendly, and we tell him like, hey, we're here. I'm just letting her run the show, the social worker. I'm just there recording, just kind of taking notes, and we're like, hey, we're gonna go downstairs, and we're gonna interview the children, and he's like, oh, okay. Any reason? And she just says her thing, right? So we go downstairs, and she starts with the youngest, and then eventually we get to the 13-year-old. As soon as we get to the 13-year-old, we're talking, and the social worker talks about, hey, have you had any issues going on with your father? Any confrontations, physical stuff? Immediately, like you saw the light in her eye vanish. It was gone. And I'm like, holy crap. That's like right there. I'm like, there's something going on here. Yeah. She did not want to say a word. She just nonverbal. And all of a sudden her father comes downstairs. When I told him to stay upstairs, he comes downstairs, goes to the bathroom, gets a cup of water and sits, and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, what are you doing down here? I told you to stay upstairs. Oh, I just had to come get a drink of water. You're going to come downstairs to your bedroom to get a drink of water and see what's going on while we're interviewing the primary victim here. Mm-hmm. That we had, obviously they had some insight. That's why we're here, right? But you knew there was something going on. So when I wrote that report, man, I went with my body cam footage minute by minute. I said, hey, at minute so-and-so, watch her eyeballs. Watch like the energy, like their life disappear, and then at minute this time frame, this is when so-and-so comes down here. I wrote that thing so awesome. I was like, man, there's something here. And I forwarded to the detectives, but you really can't do a whole lot. And he's like, oh no, there's really nothing there. I'm like, bullshit, dude. Like dig in. And that's where I'm going with this. I'm like, I would love to grab that fucking dude, bring him outside and have some like street justice. Cause I know, granted, I know I can't do that, but that's what my heart was telling me. There's something not fucking here. Yeah.
That's the good in you.
Yes.
That's the good in you. That's like,
let's go.
You want to take that person out and just beat the living hell out of them because you know
there's fucking something happening.
Your gut is telling that's people don't listen to that enough, right? Yeah. Like and they say this all the time, and I'm a firm believer. Like when you get that gut feeling, that's God. That's God talking to you, dude.
It is.
And and your hands are so tied, and that is the problem. Is that it's one of the most frustrating things in the world to see that pain and not be able to do a thing about it. But the thing you can do is what you did, right? And you have to hold on to that's all you can do, is write the best, most thorough report you can do and send it off. But it's also so such a deterrent to do that, put all that work into it just to see it go nowhere.
Yeah.
Or that they can't do anything. And then you're back there again for something else. And it's just like, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. Am I helping? But that's the thing, is by doing that, you're at least doing something. You're doing your part to the best of your abilities with your hands as tied as they are, right? You are building a case, right? And as much as that, and that's what sucks about the criminal justice system and like our court system, is that it's such a process. And I know instant gratification is like a thing that we get too much of now, but I feel like in this instance, it's okay. It's okay to like want that justice right now, because then what happens, right? Like, and you hear stories of it, right? Where working a case, or something's going on, but you just don't have enough because it wouldn't hold up, and then all of a sudden the worst happens. Kid goes missing, kid ends up dead, like, and then you're just like stuck with, I knew something was wrong. Everybody knew something was going on, but we couldn't do anything about it. And it's the same with abuse and kids and neglect. Like, you go to these calls and you're like, this kid, there's feces on the floor, and like this, like, it's just not a good environment for these kids, which are the most susceptible to, getting pulled into this life of, sex trafficking or abduction or being abused. And then you do your report, the social worker comes, maybe they take them for a day or two, and then they're right back there. Or like in a state like Minnesota, where they will almost always side with the mother, and they want they're like, no, it's so important that the kid stays with mom. Well, maybe dad's not in the picture, but wants to be, or is doing his best, but because of some states' laws and how they operate, kid has to stay with mom. Well, mom is around all these guys that are not good, or they're just evil, or they're the ones, doing these bad things to the kids. They're not their kids, right? They're just using mom, and you can't do anything about it. The kid will get taken away, but they'll never, I'll never say never, but like more often than not, they just go right back to mom, and it's a horrible environment. And social workers too, God
bless your soul.
Seriously. Like, that's a special job that has got to be so frustrating as well, because they're on our team, right? Like, they're there to do for what's best, but their hands are so tied too by this legislation,
right?
And it's frustrating, like infuriating.
And you guys were in law enforcement in Minnesota for 6 years, or was it here
Wisconsin?
Too?
Wisconsin and Idaho.
Yeah, okay,
it was
Wisconsin.
Idaho.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. So how come you guys left?
I knew about a year and a half into the profession that it was not a long-term job for me. I just didn't vibe with it. A lot of dumb laws, like, for example, like, oh, hey, Austin and I are going to deer camp and I'm the passenger. I want to have a beer. Why can't I have a beer as a passenger? Why is that a law?
You can do it in a party bus.
I can do it. Yeah. Anyways, there's so many other things.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of overstepping in law enforcement. We got to have it. But it just wasn't the job for me anymore. And the only reason I went into it is because I came from the Army. I did the infantry, and coming from that profession, there's really not a whole lot of things that can correlate into the civilian sector. So what better place to go than law enforcement? My grandfather was retired law enforcement out of Duluth. But that back in the day, the 80s, 90s, 70s, man, one, you had way better like qualification, or your officers were probably a lot better. They seemed a lot healthier back then.
Everybody
The
was just a
standard,
little bit
it was just different. The justice system was different. They didn't have body cams. Call that what you want.
Well, sometimes there's not a need for them. I will say, well, that's what the old timers always used to say, right? Like, man, being a cop in the 90s, like, or in the 80s, like there was this kind of mutual respect between them and the criminals, right? They'd go downtown and some dude's acting up. They'd get a little street justice, and then that was it. You know, like they're like, oh shit, all right.
But now the criminals, it's victims, man.
And everybody wants to have their day in court right there.
Yeah.
And like when they get beat up by the cops because they were not listening, now they want to sue and like call excessive force, and it's like it just changed so much. And they always used to say stories like, they would always say like, I would never get into the job now. Yeah. Like it's changed so much. Everybody's got to sell. I remember this was one of the things that really ticked me off. So I was with the county, but I was downtown one night, and I was just walking around, and I started talking to this black guy. Like, he was outside the bar. We just struck up a conversation and started talking about football, whatever. We were just talking about sports, and then, dude, everybody started pulling out their phones, and they're like
something's gonna happen.
They're like, quit harassing him, and I'm like, what are you talking? We're just having a conversation. Like,
we're having a civilized conversation.
We're just talking about stuff we both enjoy. And I'm like, God, this is this is the problem. Yeah. Everybody thinks like we're out to get everybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, he was a really nice guy. We were just talking about, again, things that we enjoy. And man, and then just like anytime you stop a car, people walking down the street, everybody's waiting for you to slip up and make national news. And that was tough. And then I guess one of the things that kind of pulled me out, I liked the job. I felt like I was called to it and I did it. But I just didn't see the longevity either.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's a job is a great profession, and we need good people to do it. But for 30 years, I don't think so.
No, there needs to be a change, like definitely some reforming there. I mean, the qualifications, you're hiring, and nothing against anybody that's a cop right now listening to this, but the PT standards suck. There's so many unhealthy cops out there. And you really are damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's a damned if you do, that type of profession. And if you're out there trying to be a go-getter and, find actual criminals, you kind of can get, the administration can come down on you when you're trying to do, like, the guys that get promoted, same with the Army most of the time, are the guys that just, like, don't do shit, right? They're just like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, ma'am,
yes, ma'am.
I'm not going to do anything.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. No,
but
not all of them.
More often than not, that's what you see.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
And that's where it was. It's like, and overall, just the vibe. I just didn't like. Again, it's pretty much longevity. I'm like, I cannot see myself because you're dealing 95% of the time. You're just dealing bullshit. And what I mean by bullshit, that's like a key word in law enforcement. I think there's a book on it. But you're just dealing with everybody's problems. Like, I need to go solve a 10-year marriage, and now this time frame on a domestic. Right? I'll give you an example why I couldn't stand a job anymore. Hey, go to the domestic. It's between a father and a son, a 50-some-year-old son and an 80-year-old father. They're arguing because the mother called because they couldn't figure out what pizza to order. I'm like, are you kidding me? And now I'm getting there because now I'm freaking exhausted. It's like freaking 3 a.m. in the morning, or not 3 a.m. It's like midnight, whatever. And I'm like, this is what I'm dealing with. Like, this is what I'm dealing with, really. And that it becomes, you get this jaded feeling, right? And I just saw how angry I was getting because it was just nothing but negativity. There's nothing positive about the job for the most part. You can meet some really cool people, just drive. Like, that was my favorite thing, being a cop, just driving the back roads and just talking with good people, right? But most of the time, it's just negative, and that wears on you. And when you see traumatic stuff, like I had a 16-year-old girl that committed suicide with a train, that one jacked me up. That was like the turning point, the tipping point for me. I'm like, there's too much death. I'm tired of seeing it between the military and law enforcement, which I saw way more stuff as a cop. I think you would agree with that too, on our home turf. But it's just negativity all the time. And I want to have a positive. I want there to be positive things in my life. And I just didn't like where it was taking me. And it actually brought me to a very dark place. And I knew I had to make a change. So that's why, one of the main reasons why I got out. Does that make sense?
Well, and it's tough too, right? Because you're dealing with all this negative, and you're hunting for the positives every day, right? Like, you're just really, like, you really got to fight to find good things happening every day you're a cop. And those are like, those good days are like when you find some dope and you get some dope off the street, or you find a bad person and you get them off the street. Like, you're like, okay, I did my job.
I'm
today.
a Band-Aid for a little bit.
But like, you're constantly hunting for it. And then, so with all the negativity that you go through on a daily basis, and then the cortisol spikes up and down, right? Then you have no support from the community. You know, you just, like, people hate you. People literally want to see you fail, and they don't hate you as a person. They hate you because what you're wearing, because you're a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
But in a time of need, when they need you, then you're okay,
then they're
right? Then
yep,
of course,
then you're fine.
I'm like, don't get me fired. Oh, yeah, I get so fired up.
And so it's it's frustrating. And then, but that's the cool thing about here, right?
Yeah.
Is like this community here
I never felt so safe, man, at being a cop here.
People support
Yeah.
law enforcement here, which is so cool. Like, it's just outpouring, which is great.
I definitely was just going to say that too. And thank you for the time that you guys did serve, because that's amazing. And I know not enough people say thank you, because if we ever needed one, someone's got to do the job. And so I want to say thank you to any officer that's out there listening, because we do need you and we love you and we're thankful for that.
Yes.
And Nate talks about this a lot, where a lot of law enforcement, exactly what you just said, is I want to do something more than just handle the bullshit. I feel called to go protect kids or go do something. And that's why the Innocent works with law enforcement to go out and go after the root cause. And they love that, because they actually feel like they have purpose. And so, I don't know, I think you guys may need to reach out to Nate to do a little work for him. Just saying. Because, yeah, that's, you're good people in your core that want to do the right thing. And we need more of that. But I know I've heard that a lot, that, you know, it can wear on you. And just, cops, nurses, these jobs that people just do the most heaviest work, you know, major shout out to you guys. But yeah, I mean, we need you out there. And that there's got to be, even Nate talks about that, we need mental health support for law enforcement.
Yeah,
you know?
We need huge reform. And when I say reform, like, obviously I'm a huge advocate, and all of us on PT, right? You need to be physically capable to do the job. Like, if I get freaking hit going through a door and I got all my gear on and I'm like 300 plus pounds, I expect Austin to get my fucking ass, well, take care of the threat. Don't worry about me, take care of the threat, but then get my ass out of there, right? PT is huge for me, because you see a lot of cops that are overweight. It's disgusting. I'm like, bro, you are holding what standard, right? Like, if my family if there's a burglar in the house, like, fuck calling the cops, I'm taking care of this myself, right? But not only with that, but I think the mental health, to focus on the reform, you see college professors, and Austin already knows where I'm going to go with this. Why is there, and with nurses, first responders in general, I think sabbaticals should be implemented. I really think like 5 years minimum on the road, or max. I think 5 years, and then, you know what? Hey, you've done this. You now have a sabbatical. Go away for 3 months. You know, completely disconnect, a paid sabbatical. Why do college professors get it? You know, it's like, why are we not focusing more on this mental health side to separate from the job? And when you come back, hey, let's maybe you can go to the detective bureau or do something else, and it should be 20 and done.
Yeah.
Flat.
Should be like the military, man.
Just like the
Should
military.
Be like active duty military.
Yep.
Or weekly trauma therapy every week, so that if you're going through a suicide train, experience, most horrific thing ever, how are we taking care of you?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I know they have like the debriefs, like we had one. I didn't go to it. And maybe I should have, but I feel like I needed to just be alone, and call that what you want. Right. But I do enjoy my time alone, especially in the wilderness. That's where I can kind of just zen out and relax and get my thoughts and clarity. And at the end of the day too, like, I know it's part of the profession. But yeah, when you see that all the time, that's the thing with first responders, is like every day, man, you could see you could see all sorts of things, domestic, and all of a sudden you got to go to a suicide, do blew his head off, right? It's like, got to go to that. Now I got to go to a car accident and deal with that, or like a fender bender, and there's people yelling at each other. My bro, I just went through so many fucking things in the last 12 hours,
right?
You know,
right.
And you've talked about this on the podcast before.
Doesn't get talked about enough. That like, and people always like to jump to being like, seeing a video, and they're like, God, that cop is an asshole. Why was he treating that person so poorly?
Yeah.
Well, you don't know what that dude just went through in the last 3 hours. He could have gone from, again, like you said, a fender bender, where now these people are fighting with each other, arguing over whose fault it is. And you're just like, why am I here? And then you go to a domestic and you're like, there's nothing you can do about it, right? Like, he knows exactly what to say. She knows what to say. And you're like, again, cool. Well, now I can't do anything. And now you go to a dead body or a suicide or a dead kid. And then now 2 hours later, you're back doing a traffic stop because somebody was speeding or somebody ran a stop sign. And then now they are accosting you for pulling them over, for doing your job. And they have no idea what you just spent the last 3 hours dealing with, and the pain, and like just the trauma that you've just gone through. Granted, and people's argument for that is, well, that's what you signed up for. Absolutely fucking not. That's not what you signed up for. You knew it's part of the job, but like, nobody signs up to go see dead kids and deal with horrific things and people on their worst day. Yes, you know it's part of the job, but it doesn't mean you have to like be okay with it. Like, I don't know. That's just the frustrating part, is everybody wants to jump to these conclusions that, you know, oh, that guy's just an asshole, or he was bullied when he was a kid. Okay, well, yes, that is. We worked with people like that. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. But it's not every scenario.
And I guarantee you, if the public saw what you saw, they would actually change the way they see things completely. Like, oh, you just saw a kid get murdered? That's a big deal. Like, maybe I should actually say thank you for everything you do because I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Easter
Day is always one that will stick with me because we were looking for a missing girl. She was a teenage girl, and we're out looking around. We're searching places she could be. We go to their old house, her parents' old house, and her car is parked in the driveway. And walk up to the car, and she had killed herself, shot herself. And but it's like, yep, like you deal with it, and you know you do your job, and you take care of what needs to get taken care of. But like, that's a call you have to make on Easter to a family, and then the sight of that, you know, is just always, I
never forget it.
Just pictured it. And it's like, yes, you knew that's part of the job, getting into it, but is that something that you should be judged for when you know, have to live with that, you know, or see what you've seen? And I think there's a swing. The pendulum's kind of swinging back a little bit. I think, you know, it's been some time since a lot of the rioting and everything going on, and there's some focus adjusted elsewhere. But, you know, I think there is a little bit more focus coming back to, like, people are more supportive of law enforcement, and especially, I guess that's one of the, on the bright side with body cams and video footage, is like, these incidents happen, and then you see the body cam footage, and you're like, this is what people are dealing with. Yep. You're getting a firsthand look of what people are going through, you know. But one of the, I think, to kind of come back to one of the reasons why I was like, you know, I think this is a good time to leave. Well, it was all just like crazy timing with everything, but with you getting out, the archery shop, and like all this opportunity come up to have an out to go do something cool and something that I felt called to do and passionate about, was I lost my track.
Why you got out?
Yep. Oh yeah. During that time, like, you were hearing these stories of, you know, cops doing like a motorist assist. So like, you got a stranded vehicle on the side of the road, vehicle with its hazard lights on or whatever. You're like, oh, I'm going to pull over to help this person, see how I can be of assistance, right? You're a public servant. and then you get out and you go up to check on the vehicle, and then you get shot in the ditch. You know, like that for me was like, that's not how I'm going out of this world. Like it's one thing, like you tell me we got to kick a door in and go in and there's a dude with a gun in there. Okay. Like, let's go. Like this is what I signed up for, right? Like I know the risk there, but to be ambushed on the side of a highway for just trying to help somebody who you thought was stranded, ran out of gas or whatever, but all of a sudden they don't want to go to prison, or they've got warrants and they're, you know, and then they see you walking up and you don't even have a chance. Like you give me a one-on-one chance in a gunfight, and if you get me, all right, that's how I go out. Right. But if you're just gonna ambush me and not give, like a coward, like no way. But that goes back to the fitness standards, right? Like and they talked about this so much in officer safety training,
cop killer interviews.
Dude. The one of the number one reasons why these cop killers said that they did what they did is because they felt like they could win. They looked at that officer and said, yeah, I can take this person. Yep, I got this. If you walk up with presence and you look fit and like you're going to wreck this person's world if they try to mess with you, they're not going to do it. They're not going to pick a fight that they're going to lose. They're going to pick one that they can win. So like your appearance, right? If your uniform's out of whack and you know, your shirt's half untucked, you got food on you, and like you just look like a slob, people are going to try and take advantage of that, and they're not going to take you seriously. But if you roll up and your hair's clean, you just look professional, that stands out. Like people are going to, okay, I need to listen to this person, you know. But if you're, man, it's just, you just see it too much now. And like these videos of like officer involved shootings are like crazy things happening, and it's the hires, and they're not hiring the right people.
Bro,
and
the acorns falling on top of the vehicle, the squad car, acorns fell. I think this was in Utah. Anyways, this dude gets out of his squad, and acorns fall on his squad car. He thinks he's getting shot at, so he immediately starts returning fire at the vehicle that he pulled over. It was acorns.
That's some PTSD right there.
Wow.
But we got a little sidetracked on it.
No, I love it. Yeah. Do you, I like to talk about really deep stuff on podcasts anyways. Do you feel like, because I feel, this is what I've seen in my years of doing all these things, but I don't know how you guys feel about faith, but if you don't have a relationship with God in any part of your life, especially this one, I just want to ask you, how critical is it, and how is it? I mean, because for me, it got me through everything. And if you don't have that, how it's such a difference when you do. And if you've experienced that.
Austin and I just talked about this like maybe a week or two ago, because I lost my faith when I went in the military and when I was a cop. I really did. I grew up in a Christian household, went to church, youth group, all that stuff. But once I went into that line of work, it wasn't present, and I didn't seek it.
Yep.
I think if I did, because I'm there now. I read my Bible every morning, I read a chapter, and there is a life-changing. I feel so good when I read.
100%.
There's something there, and I can feel like just like we were talking about a bit ago, but I can feel that presence in there, like those goosebumps and all. That's his energy. Like, cause it even said God is within all of us. Yep. But I didn't have that. I didn't seek it, and that's where I got in those really dark places, and probably some demons chilling around my head, be like, "Hey, dude, just fucking do it. You know, do it. Yeah. Grab your gun, just fucking do it." Right? That's fucking demon.
Enemy shit,
right? If I had that, I think I would have been a lot better.
Yeah,
I would have been. I know I'd have been better.
Absolutely,
100%. But I will never trade that. I hate to say that. I feel like that's really mean in a sense to God, and be like, well, why would you say that, John? You know, but I think I needed to go through that fucking time in my life I'm going to get emotional. I don't want to get emotional, but I had to go through that fucking time to deal with that. And it's where I'm at now, you know, and I'm glad I went through that darkness and that shit, because it's made me a far better dude now, and friend and husband and son. And it's just really powerful. So I'm glad I went through that hell and I made it out, because I'm never going back, so.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's exactly what you need, though. Like, we need those phases, because all it does is bring us, if we choose to, it brings us closer to God. Then everything changes. Because that was me too. I was just going to go off a little riff for a second. I grew up in a very hardcore legalistic Christian household, and I didn't feel any love. I was like, this does not feel like love to me. It feels like judgment, shame, legalism, all these things where you can sense that as a kid. Even as a kid, you're like, well, I feel no love here. I don't feel any light. I don't feel nothing. And so I gave the middle finger to all of it at about 20. I was like, if this is love, I don't want anything to do with it, because it was just, there's a lot of stuff wrapped up in that. So I gave the middle finger to God at about 20. Then, of course, you go down the road, you move to California, get into new age spirituality, finding yourself, because again, you don't want anything to do with that. So you got to go find things, right? Yeah. And you go on this journey by yourself, and then you get pushed into the ground because you're trying to do it on your own, and you're completely disconnected from God, essentially. And there's another story, but 3 years ago, like, I had the rock bottom moment, multiple rock bottom moments, but where the rug gets pulled. And that's where the rug gets pulled to put you on your knees so you actually listen to God and can actually talk to him. And that's what I realized is there's a difference between religion and real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in religion. This is real. And when you find real, everything changes. And that's, I think, those moments where you get so alone, scared, you have nothing. That's where you can actually hear God. And that's where, if you just actually lock in with him, everything changes. And so that's what happened to me too. So, and I think he uses our stories to be the best types of testimonies, because I was a person that was never going back to reading my Bible. I was like, F all this, like, just middle fingers to the sky. Like, I'm gonna, and I'm the best testimony because when you actually lock in with something this is real, not religion, everything changes. And you're like, oh, that's it right there. And it can get you through the hard days. It can get you through anything, right? Like anything.
Amen.
And I don't know if you guys follow Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell from Atlanta.
My mom.
Holy cow, he will light a fire. He's the best pastor I've ever, and Pace from One Place, of course, my dude too, here locally. But Philip Anthony Mitchell, man, you want to talk about straight fire from a dude from the streets, and his whole life turned around. His church is like going viral because of how he's just straight fire, and he's so real, and God's changed his life. And so that's what I listen to every morning to get me through whatever I'm going through. And so I'm like, God, if people just knew that this was waiting for them, if they just reached out, like, the closer you get to God, the closer God gets to you. But I was like this. I was like, nope, don't need God. Nope. So we just stayed over on the sidelines until I finally was like, okay, I actually, never mind. I need you. Get off the sidelines and let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think the job pushes you away from it. I think being a first responder, I wish I had a better relationship with God when I was in law enforcement, because I think it would have made the job so much better. I think when you start looking at it as a good versus evil kind of thing, and more faith based instead of the opposite of what it was when I was in, is like, how could he do this? How could he put people through this? Where is he? Because I'm not seeing him, and that's the wrong mentality, right? And that's what pushed me away from it. And then, but the crazy thing is that, he's got a plan for everything.
And there's free will, right?
There's free will. Yep.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think, just in the last couple of years, I've really come back into my faith, and it's, again, like you said, it's from the rug getting pulled out from underneath you. Like, whoa, okay, I thought this is what I was supposed to be doing. And I moved my family across the country to do this. I gave up my career. Like, I did all of this stuff, and then just now what? And that's when you need to lean in and know, like, and have faith, right? Like that's why they call it that, because you have to believe that he has a plan for you. And honestly, everything has led to right here,
Right
like
here.
this moment, like, and just being thankful for the trials and the bad things that have happened, because if you dwell on that, the bad things that have happened to you, that's going to consume you, you know,
Right.
and just be grateful. And I say that, you know, I know that for somebody that's been through some really horrific things, that probably sounds very non-compassionate, you know, but in the grand scheme, you know, you gotta, and it doesn't happen immediately, right?
Yep.
That part takes time to be grateful for the trials that you've been through. While you're in it, you're just in the fire and you're just trying to get out. But then after that, when you can look back and go, okay, I can see why, you know, and I'm glad that I went through that, or that happened to me and I came out the other side.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause some people don't, right? Or they just continue down that path of destruction.
Yep. Yeah, I I feel like that is a testimony, because anything that you go through, that's just, when you get on the other side of it, it's just so clear that God's just creating a weapon out of you for his greatness. Like, that's all it is. And that's why I think a lot of us, when we hit our 40s and up, we feel that emptiness inside. Like, what do I feel like this is, I don't want to just work and then die. Like, I don't want to just, in the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
And if you listen enough, whatever you have a deep calling to do, like something is pulling at you, don't like just lean into that, because God's like pulling you to do something for his greatness, whether that's fight evil, whatever it is. Everyone has their own calling, but your story is so that you can become a weapon for good. And that's why I just love that you guys are all about everything that I'm doing with the innocent and helping captives, because I know there's a pull that we have to keep listening to that, and we have to keep leaning in, and we have to, I feel like if we use all the shit we went through, use it for good. That's why I think for me, that's what you said, just be grateful. When you're on the other side, it's because you're using it for good. And if you can see that, that's the gold right there, versus letting it take you down. But without God, none of it makes sense. And so you're empty and you're spinning, and you can get into that depression and those negative thoughts, and the enemy just is like, that's exactly what I want. Thanks, got ya.
Yep.
You know. But if you lock in with God and you strengthen yourself through that path, man, like that's it right there. I remember my whole 30s, it was like, the universe will make me this and this and this.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? When a plane goes down, if you're in a plane and your plane goes down, you don't scream, universe, help me. You cry out to God, help me.
Yeah.
That's when you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, there's a saying in the Army, there's no such thing as an atheist in a foxhole.
Yeah.
And it's just freaking true, man. Like, you get into those situations, and it, like, you start like, okay, are you listening? Help. You know, it's powerful for sure.
And that's, I think, why I just want to take this leap of faith, because I just felt so called to do something more. And I just I don't want to live my life feeling empty.
Yeah.
That I didn't do it. And I know all of us have that pull inside of us. And so if any of this is calling to you guys, get involved with what the innocent helping captives are doing.
Yes.
Because nobody else is going to do it. And if you feel called, there's a reason. And so, but I've had to take many leaps of faith over the last 3 years, and that's when God shows up the most, right? Because he's like, oh, you trust me now, we're locked in, let's go. And like, God can move a mountain with his pinky if you just lock in with him, you know? I was trying to do it my way, like all my 30s, like I can figure it out. I just say these affirmations, and then, you know, and like I can manifest. And it's like, oh dude, I was just lock in with God. Like, he is just right there ready for you if you just lock in. And once you do that, then all the doors open. I was trying to just boss babe it with it by myself. I'm this independent, and you know, like living in the corporate life. If you guys could see the photos of what I look like in my late 30s, I look like a dead walking zombie, just puffy, inflamed, 30 pounds overweight. I turned into like a walking zombie, and I'm like, this is not, something's wrong. And it's because I was just looking for God in all the wrong places, you know? And so I feel like once I figured my shit out, and then this came forward and I just went with it, everything changed. And so, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but that's my TED Talk.
Yeah. No, I say this a lot too recently now. Like, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. I don't think things happen just because. I think there's a reason why you run into somebody and have a conversation. And I think if you start looking at it that way and not that it's, oh, this is what a weird coincidence that I was just thinking about doing this thing and I just ran into this person that's also like-minded and now like I made this connection. Now it happened because it was supposed to,
right?
You know, because there's a path, there's a plan, and like when you start looking at it like that, man, it was just like, oh, okay. And you talk about it where you just talked about where you're like, everybody wants to be the captain of their own ship, and to an extent, sure, but you're not. You know, like, yes, you have free will to make choices and do good with your free will, and for yourself. But man, when you start just kind of like giving it to him and saying like, just use me, and not like you said, try to make it on your own kind of thing, you know, but lean into that to his plan and not your own plan, because every time you try to do it your own way, you run into a wall. Like, you know, when you think like, okay, I'm going to do this myself, I don't need any, you know, like, nope. You run into it.
You're spot on. And can I just add to that?
Yeah.
Because this is what I learned also in my rock bottoming in my 30s. For me, because I didn't grow up with a lot of money, right? Money was like safety. Like, if I just have money, I'll have everything. And like, you know, money becomes your God in a way. Yeah. And in your 20s and 30s, you're hustling and grinding for money. And money became like number one for me because that was the source of peace and safety. Because if I just, because I push God away, right? So if I just have money, everything will be good. And money was, I idolized money, you know, because that was peace and safety. And it was just like this craving, right? And what I've learned is when you put money on the throne, everything will burn to the ground. Because God has to be number one, and then everything flows through that. And that's when I got that right, everything changed. Like, doors open. It was just like, you get it now. Lock in with me, and everything comes from that. But if you try and make money just your idol, it'll burn. It'll burn. And it might be a slow burn, or it might be a freaking just tank bomb. Boom, bye. And same with people and friends in your life, too. Sometimes the rug pulls with friends and people. Which I've learned it got canceled a lot. That all, you know, that's another story. But but the second, oh man, I keep hitting this mic. Sorry, guys.
Good.
I get so into it, I start using my hands, get a little crazy. But man, that was everything. And I realized, oh man, if I could just let people know that anything you idolize, you will lose. But when God's on the throne, I'm not talking religion, legalistic. I'm talking real. Yeah. Everything comes from that. And then you line up with purpose, and then money, like the things that you need to support what you're doing. Well, it shows up. Amen. And then the more you keep doing it, God's like, you get it now, let's go. And then you just move forward in faith no matter what. Yeah.
It's
that's the ticket. Yeah.
Serving other people, right?
Yep.
When you stop serving yourself, and that, dude, I am not the poster child for that by any means. I work at that. That's something I have to try and work on every day, to not think about myself. Because as humans, it's so easy to do, right? Like, it's so easy to try and put yourself before everyone else, or try to. But man, when you.
Well, you want to provide for your family. Like, exactly. I got to pay the bills. It is about that, the human life. Yeah, you got to get the bills paid, right?
But like in service of other people, right? And like putting other people before you, or like your spouse or your kids, or, you know, that's a real thing that I constantly battle with, like making sure that I'm not putting myself in front of anybody else, because that's not how it should be. You should be trying to fill other people's cups. And not to say to be like a yes man or like a people pleaser, because that doesn't get you anywhere, but like creating real friendships and holding those close, but like doing things for other and sacrificing for that. I'm trying to
Service.
No,
it's service of others.
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
trying
the
to,
two. It's literally. I just read this in I think it's Matthew chapter 23. Either way, it's the two most important commandments, and that's one is to love Jesus with all your heart and mind and spirit, and to love your neighbor, and that means your community, right? That those are the two most important. Isn't that amazing? Like literally, when you break it down, it's like, dude, like, and like I think the other like are the 10 commandments, like the 6 are just like, dude, be a good person, love thy neighbor, freaking support each other, build community, have a relationship with God, put him at the top, and everything's just gonna flow, right?
Yeah.
It's the ultimate playbook.
It is. Yeah, well said.
that relationship doesn't, and this is my own 2 cents on this, doesn't mean that you have to attend service every Sunday, or there's a place for that for sure. But man, that could be being in the mountains, being on the bank of the lake, and just sitting there and just having a connection, and just putting that before yourself. And it doesn't mean you have to be involved with, it's not a bad thing to be involved with the church at all. But I think people hit this roadblock with religion where they're like, I have to be there every Sunday. I have to be involved with the church. I have to, if that's what it means, if I'm going to be a good Christian. And that's not true. No. If you feel called to that, do that. Absolutely do that. But if you don't feel called to do that, but you feel called to have a relationship, start there. Just start having a relationship. And I'm working on that constantly myself, right? Like trying to be better every day than I was yesterday. And some days I'm not. And that day's a wash and on to the next day. But like just starting somewhere, whether that's getting a devotional or just trying to pray more, and finding that time. And that's something that I'm working on, is trying to, the more you pray, the better you get at it, right? Because like right now, like the last couple of years, I'm kind of getting back into it, and it's like, because I grew up in the same kind of family, like very, we went to church every Sunday. I had to do communion and get do everything, and then I was just kind of like pushed away from it. Right. After that, I was like, I need to go do something for myself. I need to do this my own, right? And now coming back into it, I'm like, it's starting all over again. Yeah. I'm like, it feels weird to pray sometimes. Like I feel like, okay, what do I say? What do I do? Like, how do I do this? And it's not that complicated. I think we, and myself even included, like I just overcomplicate the whole thing. Like it's not that hard. Yeah. Like it just start somewhere. And so if you're listening to this and you feel like you're called to find that, and you want to stop living for yourself and put something else first, like just start small. Like you don't have to be there every day.
I feel like you just ring your heart out, like whatever's on your mind, just ring it out, man, because he just wants to hear it. And I know I felt like the closer I got to God, the closer he got to me, and now I crave it every morning. I crave being listening to Pastor Philip, Anthony Mitchell, Pastor Pace, all the Pastor P's, and I just crave it. Like and before it was, I don't want to go to church. I hate that place. Like I don't like that energy. Like you got repelled by it because it's forced down, it's shoved down your throat. Well, it's different.
In the media, right? Like everybody looks at churches and they get a bad rap, right? Because it's the people that may, again, just like in law enforcement, there's people that make it look bad for everybody else that's doing the job. That is in every walk of life, and you can walk into a church and like the biggest thing, I know people are like, well, it's just a bunch of hypocrites, right? Like they're here on Sundays but they're out, sinning and doing stuff, and like they just, well,
that's out there too.
That's out there,
Humans mess it up all the time, man.
Exactly. And like you can't get, again, it's not that deep. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. If you just need to have a relationship yourself, like that is the most important thing. It doesn't matter what other people are doing in their walk. Like that's their walk, right? Like let them take care of it. And God will take care of it. The biggest focus is your walk.
I knew, well, I feel like sometimes we need those rock bottom moments in the dark. That's the only way you'll hear them, because you're quiet enough to hear.
Yeah.
And so because before I wasn't close to God at all before that. But then once it hits and then you're changed from that point on, you feel that peace that surpasses all understanding. You're like, oh, I get it now. Now I understand what the Bible talks about. Before it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because Jesus was just some dude in a frame on my grandma's wall. Like, I didn't understand it. Never made sense. I was so desensitized because it was crosses and Jesus everywhere. That's just what it was. But now once you get on the other side and you lock in a real way where, like, I've just had encounters with God that just change you, that you can't unsee. Everything makes sense and gets real. That's like, some people just haven't experienced that. So if you haven't, I just am always like, just be like, God, get off the sidelines, like, help me. That's the best thing you can just start, is he's just waiting for you on the sidelines to get into the game, you know, and he's got the playbook.
Definitely.
So talking athlete vibes. I didn't know we were going to church today.
I was going to say we're coming up on an hour and a half here.
Dang.
Aaron, I truly appreciate. I didn't realize we were going to go this way, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool because you guys don't get to talk a lot, so I love you got to share your stories.
No, we appreciate it. This has been awesome. I have to run north. I got to leave, and I'm going to get a parking ticket here any minute. So I think we should call it.
Yeah.
But one last thing, real quick, about the Spirit, about God talking to you, and I think people can all feel it. You know when you're being called to do something.
Yep.
You'll know. Like the other day when I was in Atlanta airport, freaking missed my flight to Costa Rica. We're delayed 2 days. I went to the bathroom, and I have a thing for clean bathrooms, right? Anyways, I walk in, and the dude, this black guy, he's cleaning it, right? He works at the airport, and for some reason, I felt like I just need, like, dude, I want to give this guy a tip. You know, He was super genuine, just super nice guy. And he felt really bad because the paper towels weren't coming out right. He's like, sir, I'm so sorry. They're coming out crinkled. And I'm like, dude, don't worry about it, man. But for whatever reason, I felt called, like, I'm just going to throw this guy $20. Like, I'm just going to give him a tip, right?
Yep.
Dude, that guy, when I gave it to him, he freaking came out. He's like, dude, like, almost crying. Like, you have no idea how much this means to me right now. And, like, I needed this. And I'm like, you can feel it. So when you have those little moments, and that's where I'm going with this, because you felt the calling, right? You'll feel little things just day to day. Like, man, for whatever reason, I need to talk to this guy. That's fucking God.
Totally.
Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. That is God talking to you. And so, yeah, man, just listen to it. You'll feel it. But anything, Erin, where can our listeners find you? And then again, the date for the Ruck.
Let's go. October 9th, 2026. It's a Friday.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks, guys. Yeah. 756dark.org, or in the future, we're going to change it to the nightruck.org, but you can find me on Instagram at 756dark too. And I mean, I'm
Sweet.
I got my Facebook too, my personal Facebook.
Cool.
You know.
Yeah, we'll drop all that stuff in the description of the podcast. And if you're listening to this and you're not local, you're not in the area, and you feel called that you want to be a part of this thing, is there a way that people who are not here can still help?
Yeah, I mean, of course. So you can always just donate directly to the Innocent and Helping Captives, because all my event proceeds that we do from the event go to them. So you can just donate straight to them. You can donate to me, and it goes to them. It doesn't matter. Cool. I created a legit nonprofit, because not all nonprofits are legit. As you know, some of them don't actually do what they say they're gonna do. That's another story. But doesn't matter. It all goes to them. But if they want to volunteer for the event locally, just my email's on the website. Cool. Very easy to DM message. If you want to volunteer, if you want to just come to the event, or you want to donate, it's just have at it in whatever platform you want to donate to. But at least follow the Innocent and Helping Captives and see what they're doing. They're doing amazing things. Jim Caviezel, the guy from The Passion of the Christ, the actor.
Oh yeah.
He has made a bunch of posts. He's good friends with Nate and posts a lot about it as well. Cool. And he's really behind that movement. Nate just got featured on Dr. Phil, by the way. Like, the dudes, they're blowing up. Caleb's blowing up. They're all blowing up because everyone's coming together to spread the message.
Dr. Phil was still going.
Dude, he's still going. So there's just it's growing, and
Sweet.
I'm excited to see where it goes. So anything, just reach out to me if anybody wants to be a part of it in any way. But awesome. I'm just grateful to have you guys have me on.
Yeah.
I love that we got to talk about all this deep stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
Let's go.
Yeah, that was a good episode. Thanks, Erin. Appreciate you coming on. And thanks for listening to this one. We'll see you guys on the next one.
And we'll see you at the event.
Yeah.
October 9th.